What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Handischlapped. I am your host, Reverend Jordan Schrader. It is episode 58, and we are going to do something a little different today, in case y'all didn't know. In my free time, I like to do a lot of different things. I like to make films. I like to perform stand-up comedy. I love everything movies and especially video games. And we recently just saw the release of the Super Mario Brothers movie. And today on the show, we're going to have a very special guest of ours. His name on YouTube is Adam Common, Common. He does a lot of content on video games, his favorite kind of video games, and he does live streams as well. And without further ado, we are going to talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie together. There will be spoilers later in the podcast. So, just a heads up, there will be a warning on when the spoilers come in. And the following was also recorded via Zoom, so I apologize in advance for the difference in audio quality. So here we go. Well, Adam, we just saw the Super Mario Brothers movie,
Heck yeah.
and well, what did you think, my friend?
Well, yeah, I really liked it a lot. I watched it with my wife and our 3-year-old daughter. It was her first time going to theaters. I was a little nervous at first because, well, she's 3 years old and she just barely turned three. So I was like, maybe this is she ready? But no, she did pretty good. She got a little restless at the end, but she really enjoyed it. And yeah, we had a fun time. So, and for anyone who doesn't know who's listening, I'm a huge, like Jordan already knows this, but I'm a huge Nintendo fan. So
Absolutely. Yeah, there were kids in my theater as well, and I got a little worried at first when I went in there. I was like, no, my friend
too
Dylan,
loud.
who came with me to the movie, he was like, all right, if you start crying, then you're out. But no, for a 4:30 afternoon screening, I was actually really impressed for the kids. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I went to this
Yeah.
movie just a couple days ago. I went with a couple friends. We wore our Mario and Luigi hats. And
Oh yeah, I
yeah,
didn't have. I wore my Mario shirt for it, but I should have
did
worn
you
my
really?
Mario shirt for this. But
Yeah,
anyway,
we got into it and I I mean obviously I had like thoughts going into it and um
mm,
both of us being really big Nintendo fans and Mario fans,
yeah,
of course, like Mario, especially Super Mario 64 is very special to me. So obviously you and I are gonna be
best
uh
Mario game.
yeah, you and me are gonna be like well have certain expectations for it. And at the same
Mm,
time, like I was thinking like okay, I'm gonna put my expectations on this level instead of trying to be like, well, if I made the movie, I would make it like this. So we go in
yeah,
there,
yeah.
we watch it, the 90, was it 91 minutes go by, and
Something like that. Yeah,
it was pretty much everything I was hoping for. I loved the
yeah.
movie. I really liked it a lot. As far as like I mean, what were people like? You hear about all the critics, and like
Yeah.
the fancy movie critics and stuff. I mean, like, what were
The
they
fancy
expecting?
movie critic.
Just,
I don't
yeah,
know.
like, what were
Ricky
they
T. I don't
expecting?
know.
Like the
Oh,
New
what's
York
that? Sorry.
Times and all that stuff. Like, come on, you
Oh
guys.
yeah.
They're trying to make it like
Well,
this
the
thing,
thing is about
and
them, it's yeah. The
oh, go
thing is for
ahead.
them, it's just they. one, there's a huge negative stigma around video games in our culture, especially
Yeah.
with the older generation.
Mhm.
Um, and I just think they just don't get it. It's funny that I didn't see Strange World. Did you see Strange World?
I
Was
did
it
not.
okay? I don't know. Like I know Strange World got like what 70%. I think Minions Rise of Gru got 70% from the critics,
Hmm.
and like Mario. And I don't know. You might already know this, but for those listening, you might not know. The way Rotten Tomatoes works is either the critic gives it a thumbs up or thumbs down. It's actually not an average of their score. It's just do they recommend it or not. So the score basically means only half of the critics recommended it. And it kind of, it doesn't surprise me because they just wouldn't get it. Mario has never been about the story. And another thing is that I could see some of the critics, especially these days, being quote unquote offended by certain things like it's very stupid, simple things. You know what I mean? That the average person wouldn't care about. Maybe I'll talk more about that in the spoiler section. But like really like for anyone listening, like this movie's great. It's great for the whole family. Like there's nothing. Yeah, it's good. The fans this it's obvious a lot of the critics this have never played a Nintendo game, and if they do, like they just don't know how to do it. And also they kind of failed at their job because I feel like the number one job of a critic is recommend movies that they think the public will like. And well, obviously they didn't succeed at their job because
Right.
they just judged the whole thing.
I'm glad you bring that up and like judge the whole thing because like as soon as like the first announcements for this movie came out, the cast announcements for this movie came out all the way to when the first trailer dropped. This movie was already getting certain comments on some of the choices it was making, specifically the cast. And
I was one of those people. I had no
mhm,
faith when I first heard the announcement. I remember watching the Nintendo. I watched every Nintendo Direct. That's how much of a mega fan I am. Like literally, I like watch it, try to watch it live if I can. And when I first heard the cast, I thought, "Wow, this is going to be a hilarious disaster." And I'm going to watch. But I was thinking like I'm going to watch it, expecting it to be bad. So I was one of those people. But then I don't know, like when do you think that changed? Because I think the marketing is really good. Like when do you think that changed? Like the whole because it started off very negative. A lot of people were questioning, oh, Chris Pratt, Jack Black. But like when do you think people started getting more excited? Because I think I have an answer, but I'm curious what you think.
probably the most recent trailer, but like even when the first teaser came out and even the first official trailer, uh a lot of people even I agree with you. I was a little skeptical too when Chris Pratt was voicing Mario because in the trailers they didn't do like justice to what we actually get. But I don't know. To me, it
Yeah,
didn't like really change until more recently. I mean, after a while, I just tried. This may not answer the question really well, but I tried to avoid some of the promos after a while until
yeah,
especially up until the release, because I wanted to just go in and
not knowing anything.
just get what I get. And that's my response. But where do you think it started
So
shifting?
I think for me at least, and I watched a lot of Nintendo YouTubers reactions. The first teaser is when we started getting very positive reactions. The only negative reaction was Chris Pratt's
Yeah,
voice. Everyone was
yeah,
complaining about that. But before that, people were just, oh, this is awful. But when like Bowser, like in the first teaser says, open the gates. I'm like, what? That's Jack Black? Like, what the?
yeah,
I
right.
was expecting when they announced it, I was expecting him to talk like Poe, talk like Jack Black.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like, no, he actually talks like Bowser. Like, I mean, there's some parts you can totally tell it's Jack Black, but he actually does the role. And then that's when I started getting really excited. And then this trailer after trailer, it kept on getting. I don't know. I feel like it is the marketing for this was amazing.
yeah,
That whole Super
yeah,
Bowl commercial, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
They showed the last trailer they showed at a Nintendo Direct was the Rainbow Road sequence. Is probably showing too much, but people were just getting really excited. And by the way, like I think the Chris Pratt thing never went away, but now that people have seen the movie, I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, he's fine. Like he does a good job." Most people complained about one. I don't know if this is really a spoiler, but one older character in the movie who's cranky. Yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm talking about, people
Yeah.
currently complain about his voice, but he's not a major role, so it's not a huge deal. Yeah, I think that's when everything started changing, and the marketing for this, I will admit, I as much as I love this movie, I do think the marketing is better than the movie itself. Like
Okay.
I'm just, and the reason why I say that is because like you have to understand, I'm like ecstatic that this movie exists,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm not a professional critic, but I do over criticize. I overanalyze things all the time, and all my friends are like, "Dang, you like don't know how to enjoy anything." Like, no, I do. Um, I am curious what people will think of this movie 10 years from now,
Yeah.
especially assuming there's going to be other Nintendo movies. I have a feeling it's not going to age the best because it does rely a lot on the references, and there is character, but the pacing in this movie is so fast. It is. I think they should have done one of two things. They should have either um, make it a little bit longer, and fill that up with some like character moments. And it doesn't have to be super deep. Like I'm not saying add anything to the story. Just take a little bit more time to settle. Um, Sorry if you heard a knock there. That's my kid. Oh, hello. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, you're good, man.
Hi, here. You need to close the door. Anyway, that was the 3-year-old who watched the movie with me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's her
they should have
opinion
added a little
too.
bit more. Yeah, they should have added a little bit more time, or they should have. I think maybe cut one set piece. I think that's probably the better solution to keep the movie shorter for kids. Like maybe just get rid of one set piece, which is really hard to do, but and then keep the movie the same length. I think that's what this is me being the snobby critic now. But like I do think like holy cow, it is really hard just to breathe. And there are characters, there is character development in this movie. There is character development. There is like character, you know, studies. I mean, it's very, very simple.
Yeah.
But like that's what it needs to be. I think the story they told and the characters they have is great. I don't think they should change anything about the story, but just the pacing itself. I'm not saying change anything, not add anything. Just like okay, let's just like maybe in this one section at the beginning, um, maybe just spend a couple more moments before you get to the next action thing because it's like action piece after action piece after action piece, and it's just once you get so much. At least for me, I don't know how it was for you. Maybe you feel differently. It got a little bit overload. Like holy cow! Like there's so much happening, I can't process everything, and the movie sometimes feels longer than it actually is. But that's my one critique. That's like my one biggest critique. And maybe in the next movie, just slow down the pacing a bit. But everything else though, like was was perfect. Like the characters were represented perfectly. Like these were the characters in the video games. So I don't want to focus. So I don't like for anyone listening, just go watch this movie, all right? Just go watch it. Okay. We want more Nintendo movies,
No,
okay?
we
So
do.
even though
No,
I
we
said
do.
those things, that's more of a critique saying, hey, this is what you can do better, Illumination and Miyamoto next time. Now, I think I give my thumbs up, but maybe next time we can improve on this aspect. And honestly, it doesn't surprise me because Miyamoto was a part of it, and Miyamoto isn't a huge story person when it comes to stuff. He's more about act in games. It's gameplay mechanics, and for movies, I guess it's set pieces because the set pieces in this movie were fantastic. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah, hands down.
yeah, yeah. Like every set piece was just like, this is awesome. It's just like went by. It literally was just like We go to this set piece. Oh, we're done. Now this set piece. Now we're done. This set piece. Now we're done. And it's
Yeah.
like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like maybe just have like a moment where they just talk about, you know, because they had some characters had some flashbacks to some things happening. Maybe just have some moments where they talk about that for like 3 minutes and then go to, you know what I mean? That's all I'm asking for, really.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I agree with that. And with the marketing, I'll go step by step parallel with you. Before we go on to the spoiler section,
mhm.
I like that. The marketing was great,
Well, the
fantastic.
marketing's
I
great.
totally agree with that. Yeah, when that first teaser and the first official trailer dropped, the entire movie just looked fantastic. And then obviously that's why I brought it up before. But then everyone was dissing on Chris Pratt for the voice,
Yeah.
and then but even then,
Which
I was
isn't even
still
a
like,
problem, which isn't even one of the critiques in the movie, honestly. He's great. Oh,
oh yeah, that's what I mean. That was the whole thing. And then you watch the movie. I thought he did fine. I thought he
he
did
did good.
good.
And when we talk about the spoiler review, I think the way they introduced, like, you know what I'm talking about, that one cameo, I think that was the perfect way to address everything.
Yes, yes, I caught that, and I was so
Yeah,
happy.
I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that cameo too. And yeah, I thought Chris Pratt did just fine.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I think he did much better than what the people were saying he was going to be, and everyone on YouTube was saying about him, and just, it's the internet, whatever, you can't escape it. And
Mm-hmm.
Jack Black, just that was all natural him. Um,
Oh, you could tell he just loves this part.
Jack,
Like
gosh,
they
he
comes
crushed it.
dressed up as Bowser for like these things, and uh, go him. I think it's like one of the best. He did really good. I saw some people on social media, like some parents asking some friends on Facebook, like, "Is Bowser going to be too scary?" And I'm like, "No, like he's like the
Yeah,
funniest part. Like all the kids,
yeah,
like he's still intimidating. But like, here's the thing, like that's totally who Bowser is in the games, especially in the RPG games. Bowser always
yes.
is like this intimidating guy, but he's kind of like in Paper Mario. There's a section when you read his diary and he's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I hope Peach likes me." I'm like, you get that in this. Like
Yeah,
that
seriously,
is totally his character.
he's the same way in the Super Nintendo Mario RPG, which of course is a
Yeah.
spiritual predecessor to Mario Paper Mario. Because they're the same connection. And I love that they bring that aspect to the character of Bowser in such a funny way.
Oh
And
yeah, like he's like this
I
intimidating
love it.
warlord, but he's just kind of a bumbling, charming idiot in a way. I don't know.
Exactly. That's what Bowser is to me. Like he's like
Yeah.
the super intimidating beast. But at the end of the day, he's just kind of a brutering idiot. It's just so funny.
Yeah, but like in a charming way, not in
Yeah,
like because a lot of
yeah,
people complain that villains aren't intimidating. Like it's not like, oh my gosh, they're destroying our male character. Like no, it's not like that. It's more of like I've seen some people say, I'm like, come on, like no, this is who Bowser is in the game. Like
yeah.
this is who he is. Like and because it's Mario, it's fun. Like he serves the role as the final boss character. He's big and strong, but he's
Mhm.
also just kind of he's enjoyable. He's just enjoyable to watch. And Jack Black nailed it. Like,
Yeah.
and also whoever wrote the script, they nailed it too. Like, I mean,
I think it was a couple people that
yeah.
wrote the script, and I was trying to pay attention to the credits. And
Well, you know who was a
they
real
did
standout?
they
Oh,
did great. My goodness, what good screenwriters to do such a
yeah.
tricky adaptation. I mean, I'm glad you say that about like Miyamoto being involved with as a consultant and executive producer of the movie because you can see it, and he, as you said, he is more of a I mean, not video game, like gameplay guy, and
Yes.
that translates to action set pieces in a film, and you really see that like transliteration in language. That's like when say you have like Hebrew try to look like English, as far as like the
Mhm.
lettering goes. And so like you see that like um crossover of a, an immersion of a movie about a video game, and you see that like okay, you see that in the story beats. Like, okay, it's action set piece, and another one again. That's how a video game works. Video game,
Exactly.
especially
Yeah.
Mario games, the early games, they weren't like
Hmm.
about like these, okay, a big fight and then a long, well, it's different nowadays, but then you have this long dialogue sequence of emotion, character development, and you go to
Explaining
another
the plot
section.
details and how the
Yeah,
MacGuffins work. Like, there's no MacGuffin. Is there a MacGuffin in this movie? There isn't. I don't think there's a MacGuffin in this movie. I
not
guess like
the
I guess
stars,
Luigi maybe, but
kind
not.
of.
I
Maybe.
don't know. Like,
We're almost at
it's
spoiler.
kind of funny. Like a lot of these critics, like especially like YouTube critics, I don't know, they might have liked the Mario movie. I don't want to place everyone in the same category, but they'll like over criticize the movie, saying, "Oh, there's a MacGuffin, therefore it's bad." I'm like, no.
That's such a
Um,
dumb critique. I never like that critique when
it's
people
people
use
trying
that.
to sound smarter than they actually are. And I
Yeah,
learned this one thing, and now I know. Oh. But it's like, do you really want a movie that just does anyone really want a perfect movie? Like, what is a perfect movie? And if it is like when I say a perfect movie, I mean a movie that has no plot holes. It's
right.
completely makes sense. It's just everything just makes sense. There's no plot holes. There's no MacGuffins. All those tiny, basically cinema sins. There's zero sins on the cinema sins meter.
Yeah, yeah,
Perfect movie.
yeah,
Like, no, what people want is want to feel things. Like, it doesn't matter. Those things don't matter. You
yeah,
can like a perfect example of that for video games is Tetris is a perfect video game in my opinion. There's like nothing you would change about it. And I think it's a great game, but is it people's like favorite game? Is that a game that you're just like, yes, I can't wait for the what I mean? Like people like Zelda or like I don't know, or the next Last of Us game. They want games that make them feel things, and
yeah,
they're not perfect. Those games really can't be perfect because there's so many ways they can go in. And I feel like it was the same way for movies,
yeah.
for any
Exactly.
art, really.
And that's why, like, if it was like a regular movie, like I came out of the movie theater saying like, oh, I liked it, but the story was blah blah blah. That's a nitpick because I mean, think about it, it's a Mario Brothers movie. Like, what are
Yeah,
what's it supposed to be? Like, you play like again Mario 64 or Super Mario Brothers on the original Nintendo, and like when people like if you're a Nintendo fan and you really pay attention to like the dialogue of a Mario game, this movie nailed it. Like the way
there's so
they
many
talk and
references.
how they say things. Because I'm gonna say this, like that was my original concern. Because like, first of all, the animation was beautiful.
Oh, the animation was great.
This is the best looking movie Illumination has done, besides maybe The
Oh,
Rise of Gru.
100%.
Rise of Gru looks pretty
I haven't
good.
seen Rise of
Like,
Guru, so yeah, I don't know.
right, like, and then I think, but this is gorgeous. And my concern was the Illumination humor style was going to be a little too influenced into the
That was
movie.
my worry.
Yeah, like it was going to be like Despicable Me, Minions, but Mario, and they didn't do
Mhm.
that, and I was so
I think
relieved.
it's because of Miyamoto. I
Yeah,
think it's because Miyamoto was there. It's
yeah,
Miyamoto probably just they probably had like a lot of agree like no he has got a Miyamoto is so controlling over he loves his babies like he there's a reason why the cease and desist in Nintendo is like so stupid. They're overprotective for everything.
yeah,
But yeah, the references were great. Like there were so many obscure references. When I say obscure, they weren't obscure for me, but for an average person who maybe played one or two Mario games, it wasn't like, for example, I don't know if we're going to start to get talking about spoilers yet, but like let's talk about like another video game ish movie, Wreck It Ralph.
yeah,
So it has video game references in there, but it's like, oh look, there's Bowser and there's like all these arcade guys, but that's about it. And there's a couple other things, but it's like these references that like only appeal to like it's very I don't know how to word it. But I guess maybe it'd be easier to explain the difference. Like for example, I don't know if this is considered a spoiler or not. I mean, I feel like the spoilers for this movie is just like the references, right? Uh, you know,
For the most part,
um,
like I have thoughts, but
this is I'm not going to count this as a spoiler, but like when like Luigi's phone rings,
yeah,
it's the GameCube startup, and I'm like, holy cow, that's the GameCube startup
yeah,
music. It's
yeah,
stuff like that. Like this is like you recognize. I feel like I think this is what I'm trying to say. Like they bring up, at least for me, maybe I'm biased because I'm a Nintendo fan, but the references here are much more relevant than
yeah.
like the video
Yeah.
game references in Wreck It Ralph. Like I still love Wreck It Ralph. Wreck It Ralph is a great movie, by the way.
It's one of my
But like
favorites.
it's more of like that's more for like the really old school things, and it's kind of more or less very a lot smaller. But this one's like no, like if you've played a Mario game, you're probably going to recognize something, and like
Yeah.
there's references from like the newest one. Like I heard music from Bowser's Fury in this. I don't know if you know what that is. If you played that, I've seen that. It's when Bowser turns into this huge kaiju, then Mario turns into a kaiju cat. They
Mhm.
fight. Yeah, it like came out recently, like
Okay.
a couple years ago. That music was in there, and I think for other people they thought, "Oh, this is fun music," but I'm like, "No, that's the Bowser's Fury music." There's like stuff like that all over the game, the
Yeah,
movie. I mean,
like there was one part where you can very subtly, for like 4 seconds, you can hear inside the castle walls music.
oh no! When I heard that, I thought of you. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh.
it's only for like a few seconds, but I just vaguely heard it and I was so happy.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I love
Yeah,
that.
no,
That's
it
what I love.
looks
Like,
really good.
I like that they didn't make it blatant. Like they made it like subtle, and it made it
Yes,
even more fun to discover it.
it's not like the references you see in a lot of Marvel and Star Wars things where it's really just shoved in your face and like I think it also works for this more because I don't know, like Nintendo fans are just some of the most passionate fans out there, and it's like it's just nice to get some love. So like I feel like because there's so many, I guess Star Wars is much more focused. I guess what I'm trying to say is Star Wars is much more focused on the story. And we already got so much Star Wars. Same thing with Marvel. So like when they over rely on references, it's more cringe. But for something like this, it's not cringe because it's the first time we've gotten something like this,
Mhm.
and also it's Mario, and also it's not like in your face like oh look this is that. It's like the background music and the music fits the background. I guess another thing, another critique. I don't know how you felt about this. How did you feel about the pop music in this movie?
I thought it was a little distracting, actually. At first, especially. But I did. I'll admit, I think that we should go into spoilers because
Yeah, we should go into spoilers. Yeah.
for those watching and listening, we are going into spoiler territory. In five, four, three, two, one. Okay, you've been warned.
Batman
Spoilers.
died.
Yes. um,
No,
the only song I really liked was near the end where they do that Guardians of the Galaxy song.
I'm not gonna lie, it made me think of Chris Pratt.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of glad. I thought that was cute. I thought it was really cute. I actually was okay with that one, but like everything
I
else,
think, yeah,
whatever.
I think the only one, this is the nitpick again. If I had to get rid of one, it would be the Take on Me.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like having it in the beginning in Brooklyn's fine, having it at the end is fine, but let's have like only Mario stuff in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, and then what about like when Mario was training with Peach on the
Oh, that one too, maybe.
yeah, I Need a Hero.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I would take that
I
out right
probably like
away.
scrubbed it from my mind. Yeah, that one's kind of. Yeah, I think another thing about this movie, there's so much upbeat music that it just gets over. I think that's part of the pacing issue. There's so much upbeat music that it gets overwhelming after a while. Like I think, yeah, I think yeah, I would get rid of that one too.
Yeah, because I
But
kept thinking of Shrek 2 the whole time.
yeah,
It's like, God,
but
stuff like that. Yeah, those two maybe take on me. I don't know, I thought that was kind of fun in a way,
it was
but
fun. I love that song, but it just was okay. I don't know.
whatever. All right, we got 10 minutes. Anyway, who cares?
Oh
Um,
well, I knew this would happen. I talked too much.
no, it's fine. Just ignore it. I'll just edit it together. I'll cut this part out of me talking too.
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
Anyway, yeah, so the only song I really liked was that last one with Coast Pro. I thought that was great. Now,
yeah.
my thoughts on like the subplot with Luigi and just Luigi in general. Um, I thought Luigi was used fine. I thought it could have been used a little bit more.
Hmm.
Is he MacGuffin? I don't know. I think that's so stupid.
I don't know. I wasn't. I didn't even think about that until I asked the question. What's the MacGuffin? Like, I mean,
Yeah, right.
he kind of is. I guess Peach is a MacGuffin too for Bowser.
Nah, I don't think so.
There really isn't a MacGuffin in this movie. It's just,
Uh,
yeah. I
yeah,
guess
like
I guess the Kongs are a MacGuffin. They need
yeah,
to get.
that goes for you too, Diddy Kong.
Oh, Cranky Kong was the voice I was talking about. I think Cranky Kong. He was the only one that really just didn't fit, but it wasn't
Yeah,
like
like
awful.
yeah, that voice stood out to me way too much. Where I was like, okay, that's a celebrity voice.
He should have been back in my day. We only had one life and no continue.
Yeah,
That's what he says in Donkey Kong Country.
yeah,
I will say Seth Rogen, even though a lot of people were complaining about, oh, he just sounds like Seth Rogen. I think it worked for Donkey
yeah. I
Kong.
loved him as Donkey Kong.
And I also feel like he reminded me of the Donkey Kong from Donkey Kong Country. Like that's
Yeah.
because at the very beginning of Donkey Kong Country, he like you see like Cranky Kong, he's playing like the classic music of Donkey Kong, and then
Mm.
young Donkey Kong comes down with his boom box, and he's like, "Yeah, rock and roll," and it's like, "Yeah,"
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
and Cranky Kong just hates the young, hip, cool stuff. Yeah, so
I like that. I think that was fine. And the DK rap for his entrance music, I thought that was great.
oh yeah, no, that it was perfect, and he did the pecs, like,
Yeah,
and the animation for Donkey Kong was really good.
I thought all
You
that
really
was
feel the weight.
awesome.
The sound effects were good.
Yeah, and just
Um,
the Kong world. Obviously, it's a lot of it. They mixed it with like King Kong, like the front entrance and stuff. I just love
yeah.
like the whole world building of Donkey Kong, and his
Mhm.
family and everything. I thought that was awesome. Anyway, I was saying about Luigi. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think the
sorry.
whole thing on Luigi, I thought Luigi was fine. And my thing though, I was hoping for I thought about it for like a second that when Luigi first goes into what they call the dark world, the dark place, I can't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, they goes in there,
the dark place, the dark world, the
something
dark
like that.
lands.
You know what I mean? Was it?
I think it's the dark lands.
Yeah, Dark Lands. Thank you. The Dark Lands. Yeah,
Yeah.
and when he's first goes there for a second, based on like the imagery in the background, I thought maybe I'm like, are they gonna go to Luigi's mansion?
Oh,
Uh,
that'd be so cool.
I
But
know. I thought I'm like, no, they're not gonna do that. They don't have time for that. There's no way. I don't know. It kind of looked like it because like just the way the imagery it was, it like matched.
definitely, like that was probably one of my favorite sections of the movie.
Yeah.
It gave me the Luigi's Mansion vibe. I have a feeling we're gonna get a Luigi's Mansion movie in
Oh,
this
no
movie.
doubt.
So
No doubt.
like it's gonna be. I cannot wait. That's gonna be so great. That might become like one of my new favorite Halloween movies to watch on Halloween. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think you could call that a missed opportunity, but I also could see it as saving it for later. Don't don't play all your cards out at once. And that's why I feel like maybe in some areas it might have been beneficial to remove one of the set pieces. I don't know what set piece you'd remove because they're all so good. Um, yeah, but well,
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway,
yeah, let me know when you remember that one. Yeah, I'm hoping that a lot of the shorter scenes, I'm hoping a lot of them were like sneak previews of what they're thinking they want to go for
mm-hmm.
future Nintendo films. Like you said, maybe a Luigi's Mansion, maybe a Donkey Kong movie. Obviously the end credits, the post credits scene is teasing a sequel if this movie does well, which it already has made over a
He's
hundred
already doing really well.
million dollars, and it's only Saturday. So
Yeah,
like, I, th-
it's
I
going to do well internationally too. It's
mhm.
people outside the U.S. are going to love this movie. That's something people forget about. Like I made a prediction. I guess maybe I'll let you finish your thought, and I'll talk about the financial stuff later. But
That's pretty much it. Like that, and somewhat surprisingly, not really, somewhat surprisingly, there was, unless you saw it, there was zero reference to a potential Zelda film. Um,
oh yeah, no, there was. I didn't notice anything at all.
no, like I
Um,
thought, I was so hoping that, anyway, this is all internet talk, that they were setting up a Nintendo shared universe. Maybe they
oh, I
are, but
think it's possible.
maybe they are, but they're doing it more subtly, but not subtly, but more safe. And they're not just
Yeah.
like belching it out like DC
Well,
did after
yeah.
Marvel blew up with the MCU. They don't want to like. I think they're playing it conservatively. If that's the case, I think there's no way they're not actually setting up something. I mean, like,
Oh, well, because there's so much money involved in it.
I
Of
know, and
course.
the writing is on the wall for real.
Yeah. That Zelda one. Oh, yeah. I gotta say, I have a lot of thoughts about Zelda.
Hmm.
I don't know if you saw what I posted
I did.
on
I did see
Facebook.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, I feel like if they did it right, I feel like I either would love it or would hate it. I feel like
Yeah.
it'd be really hard for me. And maybe it's just because me, because Zelda is my favorite series.
Yeah.
It's just that like you need someone, you need Miyamoto or someone that I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I would want Miyamoto for that. I'm not gonna lie because I forgot his name. There's some other guy, the guy who basically made the story for Link's Awakening and Ocarina of Time and other stuff. There's some guy I forgot his name, but anyway, I'd want him to be there because Miyamoto sometimes he's great, but sometimes some of his ideas, especially when it comes to story, aren't the best. Like he's not really a big story guy. And I feel like Zelda does need story. You
Yeah.
can't just do a bunch of random. You can't do something. Mario's all about the fun, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Don't think about it too hard. Zelda shouldn't be like crazy deep,
Right.
but it can't be thin either. Zelda is really good at just having. Zelda is one of the most as a video game is one of the most balanced video games. Like it has a lot of story, but it also has a lot of gameplay, and it mixes that evenly.
Yeah,
And very few games do that.
it's kind of like children's books. Like Mario would be
Yes.
like a picture book or something fun, and Zelda would be like a children's chapter book. Like, in other words, it'd be like the next step, or like, 'cause
Mhm.
at the beginner reading level, which would be Mario, Zelda would be like the intermediate reading level.
Yes.
It'd be the next step in the video game playing evolution. And like Zelda has a lot of lore and
It does
backstory
have a lot of lore.
compared to
If
Mario, so that would be a much different
yeah.
beast to handle. Yeah, so like if they did a Zelda movie, which they likely will, there's so many of the games they could do because most of the games, you know better than I do, most of the games give the impression that like it's like starting a whole new story because like each game like Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess is like, oh, you're the destined hero. So like
Mhm.
when you really think about it, any of the games could be the first movie. And like, well, what
Yeah.
again, do you think it would be simply Ocarina of
It
Time?
depends if they want to follow the timeline or not, right?
Oh my God. Would it be too obvious if they did Ocarina of Time?
So the more I think about it, the more I think about it now, um, I think what Mario did was smart. The Mario movie, they didn't base it off of any game. It was the origin story, right? Maybe
Mhm,
is have the Zelda movie take place in as a different Link, right?
mhm,
However, I will say the one reason why Ocarina of Time is a good one to start with is because if you want to be consistent with the lore of the games,
mhm,
which granted it isn't like the most important thing in Zelda. Sorry to know, sorry hardcore lore Zelda fans. Anyway. But like Ocarina of Time is one of the first ones in the timeline. And here's the thing: there's the thing you need to understand. So, I don't know how much you know. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before, but um, every link is different in every Zelda game. It's a
mhm,
different link every single time because each game, excluding the direct sequels like Majora's Mask and Phantom Hourglass and then Tears of the Kingdom will be. There's usually like hundreds of years between each one, or maybe thousands of years between each game.
mhm,
However, it's always the same Ganondorf. It's the same Ganondorf, except for one exception, the one in Four Swords. And we don't necessarily know which Ganondorf is the one in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But and then Zelda's different every single time too. So the very first game in the timeline is Skyward Sword, and to make a long story short, essentially, um, there's three goddesses that created Hyrule. There was the goddess Hylia as well, and she was some demon king named Demise was attacking, and anyway, she reincarnated herself. She's the reincarnation of her is Zelda, and then you're Link, and you have to stop Demise. And when you beat Demise, he puts a curse on you, saying, "My, I will come. I'll be reincarnated as well." And this cycle will go on for eternity, where will this the hero will always fight an incarnation of me, and yeah. So that's the incarnation of him is Ganondorf. But the first time Ganondorf appears in the timeline is in Ocarina of Time. So that's why I think Ocarina of Time would be a good starting point. However, I think the more I think about it now, it might be better just to maybe make up a new story somewhere because you can the time since there's hundreds of years between each game, you can literally fit a story anywhere. You can
mhm.
literally put it anywhere and with very little effort. So I feel like that'd probably be the best effort. However, it is if they want to make an origin story, um, Ocarina of Time would be the best for Ganondorf because, but I don't know, maybe not because I don't want them to retcon it that Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time wasn't the first Ganondorf either because that'd be a bummer. Maybe he isn't. I guess that would make a big deal, but I don't know. I feel like I'll just say it would probably be easier if they just did their own story, but maybe base it off of something else.
See, like, that's interesting because like that's why the Mario movie worked because it is an origin story by definition. But like
Yeah.
Mario, it's not obviously a story-driven game, therefore it doesn't need to be per se a story-driven movie. It's so interchangeable because Mario goes off of tropes, like the
Yes.
guy that has to save the girl. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And platforming and some puzzle solving. That's it. Like it's a no-brainer. But like with Zelda, because it's more of a story-driven thing, and then you got like you say like they need to make an origin story. I agree with that. And at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the games, if you're not into the lore, like obviously I know the lore too, but like each game almost already feels like an origin story. So like depending on it all depends on how you look at it, obviously. In the beginning, it
Yeah.
seems like that, but once you dive further into the story of each individual game, you kind of understand it better. But obviously, but like I think I agree with you actually that Ocarina of Time would technically be the best option because, in my opinion, it's the most accessible for people and not just
Yep.
for the gamers and the fans, but like even potentially a wider audience because the Ocarina
Exactly.
story is a little more straightforward, even though there's time travel. But I think that's a fun little
Time
twist.
travel isn't that hard to grasp for people, honestly.
No,
And we also have
exactly.
movies like
But
Endgame.
like to see a
Yeah.
fantasy story on film do time travel, you don't see that like at all.
Yep.
Oh, you never see that. I think that'd be so cool to make mainstream
Hmm.
in like a family film. So anyway, I think that's just what the Super Mario Brothers film did so well. And
Yeah.
being respectable fan service without being
Yes.
obnoxious, but like it was also so accessible for people to draw them in and like you don't need to be an exclusive Mario fan to understand that. Maybe
You
a lot
don't.
of
To understand the
references, but
plot, you
like
don't.
right, like you don't need to like live off the references like a lot
Yeah,
of
you just
other
won't appreciate the
things.
references, really. And you won't even notice the references. It must be a thing.
Exactly. That's why I like that. It's so good. And like, where was I going with that? So yeah, you don't need to rely on it and you can just
Yeah,
enjoy it. This is my other thing. You can enjoy it for what it is because the movie knows what it is. It's not
exactly.
it's
It's
not
not
trying to be
pretentious.
anything it's not.
It is not a pretentious movie,
No, it's
which
not
is maybe why the
Inception.
critics hated it.
Yeah. I mean,
They couldn't relate to it.
you could do a Mario Inception movie, like every time he goes in the pipe, he goes, whoa, you could do it like you could be like
Yeah,
what's like
we need Wario and Waluigi in the
yeah,
next
I was
movie. That
that's
would
the
be
one thing I would
so
say were
great.
there. They'll be in the sequels, of
Well,
course.
I think it's fine they weren't in this movie. That would have been too much. But I think
I
they would
guess
be like
that's
great
true.
wild cards. I would just love it if Wario and Waluigi were just there to get like custom ski, like Team Rocket. They're just kind of like in the
Yeah,
background, messing things up, and like maybe they unintentionally do like save the heroes last minute.
that would have been hilarious.
See, like I think that's what they need to be. They need to be like, yeah,
Yeah, they need
um,
to be like little tricksters.
exactly.
Yeah, like not big things. But yeah, overall, man, I just
It's great.
Um, I love the movie. I just wanted, it's not that I wanted more per se. Like I did, but like I just wish it was like 15 minutes longer. 90 minutes
Yeah,
just
I agree.
felt
For that
too,
pacing issue for me, at least, yeah.
it's like packing a car way too tight or packing a suitcase. It just felt overly compact.
It's like Mario gets there to the castle and he's like meets Peach. It's like, oh, let's train you. Okay. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, it's like bam,
It's
bam,
just
bam,
like,
bam, bam. It's like,
yeah, it's like, holy
yeah,
cow, like you're not gonna ask like questions, maybe
yeah.
have him stay the night and then she ponders like, okay, maybe we do this, I don't know, like I mean, and these might sound like nitpicks, but these are mostly just suggestions. The problem isn't that they didn't do it that way. It's that the pacing was just like, whoa, like it was a set piece. And it could have pacing is important. Um,
Very important.
like I'll do another video game example using Legend of Zelda as an example. So a lot of times people when they play Ocarina of Time, they'll complain that, oh, Hyrule Field is empty. Oh, it's so bad. But here's the thing: it's the space in between. It's the pacing. There's a journey to get there. So when you're walking, you're pondering what's happening in the story. It gives you time to think. right? If you just could teleport there, they could just make it like a menu screen. You just pick your levels, but that would just take away the immersion,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing. Like you need the. It's all about the immersion. I feel like the pacing. It does happen so fast. It does kind of take you a little bit out of it. Like okay, well, like most people wouldn't like you know. So most people wouldn't agree to train that fast like Mario
Yeah.
did. I mean, maybe he would, but like, you know what I mean? It's just like there's like no questions asked. It's like, oh yeah, we're in a movie. We need to do this training sequence. Okay, boom. Okay, now we need to go find Donkey Kong. Boom. Now we need to go to Rainbow Road. Okay, boom. And
Yeah,
it's like,
like
whoa, whoa,
it's
whoa.
like the movie is written in video game logic, and I don't know,
Yeah.
something about it, like we're not used to that per se, because like, yeah, you're right, the pacing is so quick. It's like there's like nothing in between the story beats. It's like it's going off of an outline, like boom, 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 instead of like having things transition in between. But then
Mm-hmm.
again, those are the Mario games. They're just boom, boom,
They
boom.
are.
Go do this, go do that, collect this, collect 70 stars. Uh that's just the way I don't know. It's a double-edged
It is. No, that's what I love. Yeah, it is. It is actually kind of what the Mario games are like. Except, I think some lessons I could learn from are maybe the Mario RPG games, like
yes.
Mario RPG, and I
That's
think because
exception.
it is a movie, right? It's a movie, so there does unless if it's incredible. I don't know. Like, there does need to be some story in there.
Well,
Unless if you're
that's
doing
I
something
think that's an
completely.
exception. The RPG games, especially Mario RPG on Super Nintendo, because remember that was developed by Square, who
Yeah,
made
but then, but
all the
Paper
Final
Mario
Fantasy.
was developed by the people who made Fire Emblem,
Well, see, there you go. Exactly. Yeah, and then
and like,
obviously Squaresoft at the time, Squaresoft, they
mm-hmm,
made all the Final Fantasy games,
mm-hmm,
and that makes sense. And so
yeah,
I think those would be exceptions. But if we're talking like Mario Sunshine,
oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. Mario's Sunshine movie would be so great.
yeah,
I would. Oh my gosh,
yeah.
give us a Mario Sunshine movie. Oh yes, I wasn't even thinking about that. That'd be so. Mario Sunshine is a game that I want to love more than I do because yeah.
I feel
Oh,
like that could work though for the sequel, because like they could do like a combination of that and Yoshi's Island or something. And
oh yeah, they could do something like that.
I don't know what
Make
they're.
them
I
go
have
on
no idea what they're
vacation.
gonna do for Yoshi. Did you notice in the background that when they were looking at the map, it was the map from Super Mario World?
Oh, I missed that. I missed that.
Yeah, they were looking at the map
Oh, that's so cool.
of the whole Mushroom Kingdom. It's literally the
Best 2D Mario game, by the way. Super Mario.
yeah, I love, it's literally the gameplay map. Actually, there's a couple. It's the gameplay map, world map of Super Mario World, and I think a little bit of Super Mario RPG, because they're relatively similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, they use that iteration of the world map in the movie. I thought that was awesome.
Even though it's really funny, and this will tell you how much of a nerd I am, because most people wouldn't know this, but it's funny because Super Mario World actually doesn't take place in the Mushroom Kingdom. It
That's
takes
funny.
place in Dino Land. It's where like Yoshi's from.
Yep, that's
It's
funny. That's so
yeah, but
funny.
like most people wouldn't think that, but it's actually like not. Super Mario Brothers 3's and see, I don't know, like so like just know when I criticize this movie, like
Yeah.
it's it's coming from a good place. Like I'm not,
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm not trying to. I'm just saying, like, hey, like, because I will admit, if this movie had the same plot and had different characters and it wasn't Mario, I probably wouldn't like this, or maybe it
Hmm.
would be. I think it would be okay. So like, it is riding on the fact that it's a Mario movie, and like, and then you might think that's a negative thing, but like, I don't know. I don't. I think it's a positive thing because most people know who Mario is.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure like you could just talk to one person. Go to New York City. Do you know who the Mario Brothers are? Like, yep, everyone will know. Like, even if they've ever played the game, they'll like. You can go to a senior assisted living home, Do you know who the Mario Brothers are? They'll know who the Mario Brothers are.
I'm
They'll
glad you
forget
said.
everyone else
I'm
in their
so
family,
happy
but they'll
you said.
remember.
I'm happy you said New York because that's the other thing. When it even though there's like the story beats are bam, 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 I love them because like you got the Mario Brothers, they're down on their luck in New York, in Brooklyn. It's basically the same setup as Ghostbusters, which is what they parodied in their little video, kinda.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
a little bit, maybe not.
Well, it was actually from the original. That's from the TV show. I don't know if you know if Mario had a TV
Oh
show.
yeah, do the Mario, swing your arms to the
From
side.
side to side.
Yeah,
Come
I
on,
can
let's say.
swing your.
Can you
I
imagine if that was
know.
in the final credits? Oh,
Mhm. Yeah,
anyway.
I did, yeah. But I like that. Like they're in New York, they discover the pipe under the sewer, which they never explain, but who cares? So funny.
It doesn't need to be.
I
It
know.
doesn't matter.
He goes to the Mushroom Kingdom, he discovers it, he meets Toad, he meets Peach, he goes on a quest to save the kingdom from being attacked by Bowser, and he saves his brother at the same time. That's it. And that's perfect.
Yeah. And I think the saving the brother thing in our current society was probably a smart decision because there would have been a lot more outrage if Peach was a damsel in distress from the beginning.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would have been. I think it would have been stupid because But I'm actually, and I'm at the same time, I'm actually kind of glad because when they first announced this movie, I was worried like, are we going to even get Peach in the movie?
Hmm.
But like, no, like I'm actually glad we got a lot of Peach and
Hmm.
Anya Taylor Joy, I think is her name, right?
Yeah, I
She
love
did
her. Absolutely love
she
her.
did she does she does great.
She
So
had
real
like
quick, what's your favorite? Oh, sorry.
no, I'm sorry. She had like that demeanor, like when she was talking,
Yes.
just like Mario 64 Peach at the end, like Mario,
Yep.
the power of the stars
I
have
baked
been
a cake
destroyed
for
in the
you.
castle. And
The
at
cake
the
is
and
alive.
on Sunshine, when Peach talks, dude, she just nailed like
Mhm.
her vibe, and I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, what was your
No,
question?
it's
Sorry.
great. What was your favorite part of the movie?
Oh gosh. Anything with the nihilistic fire flame character, the blue one in the case.
The Luma. That's a Luma from Galaxy. Yeah.
Is it Galaxy? Yeah, that's what it was. I
Yeah.
it, are they also in? No, I was just saying. Are they is also in Mario Party 5 or no?
Um,
Or are
Mario
there
Party 5 are the star spirits from
any of the
Paper
Mario Party
Mario.
games?
They have Mario Party 5, like the people who like host the games. Those are the seven star spirits
Yeah.
from Paper Mario. See, I'm telling you,
Oh,
like
that's
I'm like
right.
an encyclopedia when it comes to these things. But no, yeah, like that. So those are slightly different. The Lumas are they're from Mario Galaxy. They're with Rosalina and all
That's
of
right. I
them.
remember that now from the gameplay. Oh my gosh.
Well,
I'm so
I
done.
think that one was a fan favorite. A lot of people like that one.
I love
It's so
that.
funny how many times they said the word "die" in the movie.
Yeah.
Like it's funny because like if you look at Avatar: The Last Airbender, like you can tell that they're not allowed to say "die" because it's Nickelodeon. But
Yeah.
then there's like Mario, like open the gates or die. Oh, they're gonna die, and then like Luigi almost gets put into lava. Like what the heck?
Yeah. Jeepers. And
Oh, I remember now. I was earlier in this review. I was talking about why I think some of the things that the critics found "quote unquote" offensive, and I think what they found offensive was, oh, Bowser just wants to marry Peach, and that's misogynist. And
okay.
I'm just like, yeah, he's the villain,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in the games he always captures Peach.
Yeah.
I think that was probably one thing. I'm just like, because it's just like I know, like in the Little Mermaid remake, they're going to be changing the lines from Ursula's "poor unfortunate souls" about if a woman wants a man, she should just not talk. And I mean, I guess so, but you have to understand she's the villain, so it's not like what she's saying is true. She's obviously lying to Ariel. She's saying how she's a saint. I don't know. Like, it's okay if the villains say terrible things in kids' movies. It's okay. Like,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. We'll talk
side
about
tangent.
that in our Little Mermaid review.
Oh yeah. Even though I'm actually not sure if I want to watch it, I might
Really?
wait to watch it on Disney Plus because I just don't want to give Disney my money. Give Disney my money. But real quick, actually, another thing. I don't know. We've been talking way too long, but if you do have time, I'm curious. Like, do you think Disney animation is going downhill, and we're seeing like a resurgence of other companies?
Yeah,
And it's kind of related to the Mario movie.
I think it's about time. 'Cause
Yeah,
I haven't been a fan of the recent Disney films. I think after the 2010s, I mean even Frozen 2, maybe I think after Frozen 2, maybe even before that, it just dropped. And
it's more rare to get a good movie because I think Encanto is good, but it's like more of like the exception to the rule now. Like
yeah,
the average Disney movie and Pixar movie comes out, it's kind of just either mid or really bad. Um,
I think it's
and then
mid.
like Puss in Boots. You see Puss in Boots?
Yeah, I like that.
Boy, it was so good. I had zero expectations, and like the Mario movie, and I think this movie. I don't know if it will now because I'm curious if how many people will come back to watch this movie. But my prediction earlier this year was I think and this is a kind of a bold prediction, and I'm not as sure anymore because I think it will make a lot of money. But I was predicting it was going to be the highest grossing movie of this year.
Hmm.
But I think its biggest competition would be The Little Mermaid, maybe the Flash movie. But then again, people are kind of sick of superhero movies. So I don't know. I could see Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I'm really excited for that. By the way, I
Me
could see that
too.
doing well. But the main reason why I think it could be the highest grossing, I think, there's a chance it could make $1 billion. And the main reason for that is it's going to do well outside the United States.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I've been getting a lot of recommendations of people leaking stuff into the theater, but they're in different languages. Like it's a lot in Spanish and there's some in other languages. So like it's just people that's everyone Mario is universal. The damsel in distress, the brothers, like all these themes in the story, they're universal.
Yes, they are.
Every culture
It's
can
so
understand it.
accessible.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just so it's like I think there's a chance. Like, I think it's definitely going to be in 100% top five. Some people argue, maybe Indiana Jones will do really well, but I have a feeling it's not going to do as well as people think it is because I think people are disillusioned with this Disney in general, and it's just
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
the Little Mermaid. Though the nostalgia might be too strong.
Hopefully they brighten the movie a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's going to be jarring, like The Lion King, but I think is it Halle Berry or Halle Berry? I don't Bailey. I mean, sorry. I don't
Halle
want
Bailey.
to Bailey. Yeah, I think she sounds amazing. I think she
Yeah.
sounds great.
Hmm.
But yeah. Anyway, that's like another thing. The listeners didn't come here to talk about this. Or I get
Oh, there's
10.
so much
I
to
get
talk
upside down.
about.
Anyway,
But
we probably should
yeah,
wrap
Adam,
up the
I
podcast.
love, as we can tell, we love the movie, and there's just so much in it for everybody. Again, that's the thing about the Mario games is they're so unifying and
Mm-hmm.
accessible, and anyone can pick up and play them. And I think you can also like project things onto the Mario games. I think you can like build your own adventures with the Mario
Yep.
games, just like with Zelda, but in different ways. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's got everything for everybody, and I think this movie just captures the whole spirit of the Mario franchise. It's not trying to be one of the games. It's not trying to be too people pleasing to the point of um being obnoxious. It just does it just right. They pack a lot in there in 90 minutes. Again, I wish it was longer so we could have gotten a little more without feeling rushed. And that's my whole thing. But that's a nitpick. I just had fun with that. My final question is like, what did you think of again, spoilers? the ending taking place in the real world, like in the in Brooklyn, I should say.
Oh, I think it was fine. I think it
Yeah,
was a good moment at the end where he's like, "Save Brooklyn, save Brooklyn." Like that was
yeah.
a good moment. Um,
Yeah,
I,
that kind
I,
of surprised me at first, but then I'm like, oh wait, it's a callback to the beginning of the screenplay. I'm like, oh, okay,
exactly.
that actually works.
It works really well. And honestly, I feel like the real world thing doesn't bug me at all. I can see how some people be hesitant, but I think it helps that it's animated.
Yeah.
That's like this is a strength of animation,
Mhm.
and that critics just refuse to accept that animation. This they think, oh, it's a kid thing, but no, there's a reason. Like there's strengths and weaknesses to everything, right?
Yeah.
That reminds me, was the accent too much? No, it's a perfect. Yeah, that cameo was good
I love that.
from Charles
Did you notice how
Martinet.
like even later he was wearing the Mario's dad, obviously played by the Mario voice actor. Um,
Yeah, he was Jumpman too. I don't know if you knew this. He was
yeah,
Jumpman from
yeah. And
yeah.
he was
So
wearing the colors
yep,
of one of the very early games. That like darker
mhm.
blue or whatever it was.
Exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yahoo!
The Jumpman colors instead. I love that. I loved all the
That
colors.
that was a great way to like get Chris Pratt's voice in the door, have the person who actually voices approve,
Yeah,
even though maybe he was at gunpoint to approve. I don't know. Maybe he was paid to do it.
so fun. Yeah, I like the
I don't know how he
original
feels
voice
about it.
actor too, Charlie Day. I thought he was
Oh, he
good.
did. Oh yeah, I think the if you were to ask me who did the best job, I would say Kamek. Kamek, the wizard guy
Hmm.
who works for Bowser.
Yeah, he
I mean,
was
he was like a
great.
very side role,
Yeah.
but he nailed the voice a
Hmm.
hundred percent.
Yeah.
Like it was perfect. Like also the role playing thing was kind of funny too. The with Kamek and Bowser, maybe Kamek dressing up as yeah, that was
Yeah.
the peaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole peaches, peaches.
I've been seeing videos online already for it, but you
It
know,
makes sense though because of Jack Black's character,
oh
but
yeah,
cause like yeah, when he was first casted, everyone and myself included, well, I'm thinking, okay, is he gonna sound like the School of Rock Jack Black or what's it gonna be like? I'm like, whoa, he's got like, and he said
he
this in a
sounded like Bowser.
little on the red carpet. He was talking about how like Bowser's got that fire and brimstone guttural in his voice, and that's what he wanted to do, and it worked so well.
He
And I
nailed it.
love that. I just love all the
It
tweaks that people
it
brought to
was
the
better
character.
than the voice in Sunshine, that's for sure.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Junior.
All right, Adam, thank you so much for collaborating on the podcast. And again, for
Mm-hmm.
those who are listening, you can find Adam on YouTube under, is it just Adam Common, Common?
Adam
All
Common, like Common. Yeah, so
right.
Adam Common. Yep.
What do you,
I
what do you do
yeah.
on your channel?
Um, I kind of just do whatever the heck I feel like doing. I have I've been doing these videos about my favorite movies and video games. I'm probably going to combine that in one video. I also make video games. So I kind of give a review of movies and video games from the perspective of someone who makes video games for fun.
Hmm.
So that I have a little bit of a different perspective when it comes to that. Also, I like to stream stuff. I like to do speed runs. So I want to be doing a live stream of Breath of the Wild the day before Tears of the Kingdom comes out. I might be doing a race with my brother. So if you like Zelda, we can do that.
Cool. Awesome, Adam. Well, we all look forward to seeing your content. Thank you for reviewing the movie, and we will talk soon. Take care, brother.